Hi, I'm Thea Sogenbits, and today I'm going to tell you about how how some cybercriminals decide to start with startups. My research is mostly about how cybercriminals get rich, and what is more important for them, it's not so much about getting rich, but about staying rich. It's easy for them to get rich, but not that easy to stay rich and stay here with us every day, doing their business and not getting caught. There are lots of successful different startups that we know about. So there are lots of different startups that we know about. But what's the difference between startup and basically small and medium-sized enterprise? Small and medium-sized enterprise is not thinking that they want to reach global. Their aim is to do their thing, to stay small, or to be visible, but they differ from the startup from how they do their business. Not all cybercriminal enterprises or small and medium sized enterprises are startups. There are only some of them who are startups. When we're speaking about startups, we know that's a common fact that 90% of startups fail. It's no question. We all know why they fail. There are so many different reasons why they do it, but what we're more interested in is about why they succeed. If you speak about legit startups, then they work a lot to get media attention. They want to stay on focus, they want to be on the picture, they want to be seen, they want to be heard, because that's where their money comes. The money comes from marketing. When we're speaking about illegal startups, it's not that their first thought is, oh, I have to hire like a marketing person or somebody from PR. But they still need this same media attention. They need positive media attention. They need to be known. They need to be there. They need to be giving the message out that they are serious. They know what they do. For example, when we're speaking about them, we all know about Silk Road, we know about Gerber Anonymous, and so on, and so on, and so on. Those enterprises that we speak about in cybercriminal enterprises, what's their aim? Their aim is go global. Their aim is to go on the market. And when we think about those people who start those enterprises, they're different breed. They're not the same breed as those who are from small and medium-sized enterprises. Those people who are in small and medium-sized enterprises, they tend more about security of their economics, about their processes. They don't aim to go global. They don't aim to grow rapidly. But enterprises that are startups, that aim to get startups, they want to grow big. They want to do it rapidly. They want to do something what is different. They have new business models. They have revenue streams. They have to look it all through. They need a good team. They are open to revenue sharing. They understand that they can't do things alone. It's not that there is one hacker who thinks that he can do everything on his own, but they understand that, in order to go global, the same as with regular startups, they have to do something differently. They have to be willing to share. They have to be openly there. They have to tell their pitch talk. They have to tell their elevation talk to get money, to make more investments, to get more product, to get more market. And they want to be great. There are those people who want to be great. They have this kind of special mindset. They think that they are somebody, and they actually are. If you think about those cybercrime startups we spoke about, who isn't scared about it? Maybe I get hacked, maybe my data gets leaked. What happens after that? And they know that this fear is there. They know that they are serious business. And that's where the mindset comes. They think that they are like the best of the best of the best, and they tell it to themselves all the time that they are serious and they do the best what they do. So in order for them to be good and successful with their startups, they need different elements to work out. The most important for them, as for every startup, is the idea. Without a good idea, you don't have a good startup. You might have a bad idea, but it won't get the good startup. It might end up as a small and medium-sized enterprise doing your thing day to day, but not growing rapidly. You need a good idea. You're never alone. If you're a startup, you can't do it alone. You need a team. You need a team who is actually there for you, working for you, and with whom you have different important issues. Team with whom you know that you need to go on. Maybe there are some different aspects you have to follow up. And if you have an idea, you have a team, you have to know what you do. It's not that oh, I'm going to be a cyber criminal, what's going to happen next? Let's see, let's do the basic cybercrime thing, like let's start hacking. It's not like this. They need a really good business plan. They have to know what they do, because they can't do it always with their own funding. They need different elements to include, and for that, there are things that they have to consider. So one of the things that they consider and they work on really, really hard is the business model. The next one, money and resources. They all know that they can't do it just on their own. Sometimes they already have their own funding, but not always. They need money, they need resources, they need something to go on with what they do. And the thing what you can't go against, you can't work against, is timing. Their timing has to be right. If they do wrong things on a wrong time or right things on a wrong time, then the same as with very regular business, what's going to happen is that they don't reach their aim. It's going to be something that doesn't help them go out. What's important about timing? The most important thing is that the market has to be shaken into place. There must have been done all the things that have been there. If your idea is right and everything is okay, your market have to be there to help you go on. What I mean that market has to be shaken into place. For example, if there was ransomware attacks, there were lots of them. Everybody know that ransomware is a serious business. If you want to fight with ransomware, you have to do different things to make your system secure. You know that ransomware was like a punch in the face. Just like out of nowhere, you can't just reach your data, you can't do anything. It's serious. And what happens next after ransomware? The next one comes, serious ones comes, something that scares us even more, that we can't reach to our business data, that we can't reach to the data that our clients has. Something about us that is so shameful, that is so difficult to talk about. Something about like this about us is going to be revealed to somebody who are on our client list. It's not like it's just family members or friends, but to everybody. The market is shaken into place. You already know that if you get hacked, you have a problem. It's like a punch into the face. So this extortion game, their business model was a bit different, but everything what had been happening before, it has been there. Everybody knew that hackers are serious. They don't just fool around. What else they do about the timing? If something legal comes into the market, something that we all know about, something that we got lots of media attention, it's good to try it again in illegal business. So YouTube is popular, everybody's using YouTube, that's good. Let's do something similar in illegal business. Let's stream some videos about people doing other kind of things. That's interesting, everybody wants to see it, basically. Who's adults, probably. Mindset, technical readiness, everything must be there. Your timing must be right. You can't come up with things that are not yet on the market. If you're speaking, for example, about the same ransomware, most people knew what What does it mean if you can't access your data? What it means if your data is encrypted? They all knew about it. There was lots of education about it. There was lots of media attention that explains all of those things. So you come up with ransomware. They already know, okay, it means just that you can't access. You need something to do something. You need something very specific. And what they do, they give you a solution. Give us money and you get what you want. Their team. As with every business, you know that your team is one of the important things that you have to consider. Sorry? With criminal business, one of the really important things is about trust issues. You just can't start working with people you don't know well, you don't know that you can trust. You just can't start giving out all kind of different criminal products for those you don't trust. You just can't start going on with them. You must trust your team. This is the key issue there. If you think that somebody might get caught, this is not the person you want to work with, and they know it really, really well. They have to know themselves. They have to know their team members. What are their strong points? Like in every business, when we start doing something with somebody, we have to know who we are, what is our strengths, what are our weaknesses. Same with them. They have to know what they can do themselves, what they can do in-house, what they have to outsource, and there are lots of places where to outsource. There are lots of small and medium-sized businesses that help them out with different services and products and the whole infrastructure that is there for them to use. One all important element for them to actually succeed is the dedication. They can't do it in a way that we got a good idea, good business idea, what to do next, and then we just waste few months playing computer games. It doesn't work like this, because if they got the idea, they know it really, really well, that 100 other startups also got the same idea, and they have to be quick. They have to be agile. They have to start working on their idea with their team. They have to trust each other, and they have to have this common understanding who we are, what we do, how we are going to do it. And from that, we get to the venture idea. They need clear vision. Like I was saying that as they need this business model, they need clear vision what to do. If they will start working on some ideas, they need to know where they are going with this. Sometimes what people think is that if hackers start hacking, it's just, I go and hack and I do something and what else. They need to have this all mapped for them, and they have lots of different places what they can use and different tools that they can use to work on their idea. They need to know what kind of products or services markets need. They need to know what is lacking there. And what they know very well is that if they come up with something good, then there are thousands and thousands of them who start mocking up on what they do. And they know that they have to give some added value to somebody. We were working on an enterprise that was in a need for some protection for frauds that were going against them. And we were thinking about how the cyber criminals get some kind of ideas. And what was interesting thing, what we discovered about this added value is that in some cases this added value, it's not just about the money that is given to people. Sometimes it's absolutely something else. Sometimes it is that they need to influence people to change some kind of processes inside the business or the enterprise or the institution, or change some kind of procedures, some legal documentation in order to make this loophole for the cyber criminals to get in. Business model is something that cyber criminals need to think through. It's a lot of understanding where actually their value comes, where actually the money comes, where is the revenue, what they want. What is it what people are going to do? Why are people willing to pay for something? How interesting this is what we are going to see. Does it have a market later? They have to think about risks. Risk mitigation is really, really important for them. It's not just about getting caught. Getting caught means that you can't do some things for a long, long time, probably. But there is one much more and bigger risk what they have. First of all, if they have asked some funding from angel investors, so-called, or devil investors, then they have to think about it really well through that what are they going to do and how are they actually going to do it so that their investors won't lose money. If they lose money, it's not so easy like it's in legal business that you start again and again and again. If you lose money, you will end up in ditches or you will end up doing some things that you really didn't want to do, like drug trafficking, money muling, and so on and so on and so on. And what they have to think about is how to get this clean money out. Like I said, it's really easy for them to get rich, but not so easy to stay rich. What will you do with the money what you can't use? So they have different possibilities what to do. First of all, there is the whole infrastructure, what they can use. They can get their everyday things covered with the stolen money without using it actually in this world, in legal business. There are those who offer them some kind of services. Some of them are those all-included services, so that if you want to live well, you want to do those things, you can get everything from us, plane tickets, housing, money, you can go out, eat outside, all services included. And this is the part of money laundering what they can do. And they have to think it through, how am I going to use it? They have to think through about their lifestyle afterwards. If they're doing it the first time, if it's their first money, then what happens? If somebody comes up with from the lifestyle that he couldn't afford himself buying a new mobile phone, and one day he starts parachute jumping, they start traveling a lot, what will neighbors say? And to whom will neighbors say something? That's the question. And for them, it's important to think it all through, and it goes all back from the different elements we were speaking about. It goes back to the team. If one team member fails, they all fail. And that's the risk mitigation they have to do. And this is something they have to tell about also their devil investors. To make sure that your money is going to be worth what you do. There are different possibilities how they can get the first funding for their venture. For example, if they're not doing it first time, probably they were successful last time, they can fund their next ventures themselves. They can use the money they got to buy more services, to buy more products, to outsource all kinds of things. They can launder some money out, what they do. But also, if they are still starting or they don't want to use their own money, what they can do, they can use crowdfunding. They can go up there, give their elevation speech and say that, hey, we have this kind of idea. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And they can explain it and explain it and explain it until right people or right organizations will give them money for that. What else they can do? They can ask all kinds of cryptocurrency to support their venture. There are all those platforms for them available, as there are platforms for legal business. There are also for them those platforms. They can join in with hackathons. They have their own hackathons. They have to prove that they are really that good. Then what they do, they will join up with teams. They will be elevated. They will be supported. They will be mentored in order to get financing for business devils to make it worth. It's the whole infrastructure that is behind them. And if you're thinking about legal businesses, how much we will want to get out of the investment we do? They get 30%, are we happy? If they get 30%, they are not happy. If they get like 1,500%, then they're happy. It was worth their while. And they will do it again and again and again, and they will think it through how they are going to do those things. Where do they get the help there is a lot of help for them available. In the darknet, in realnet, in real life, from their previous life, and so on. I was working with an institution who was thinking about that they want to do something against the fraud that was committed against them. And they were worried. They were worried because they got lots of things stolen. Basically what they said was that lots of the products were unpaid. And they saw that there is something wrong. They didn't understand if it is actually fraud committed against them or it's their business fault. So we started analyzing what is going on. We started mapping the processes and thinking what is. And I got this idea that maybe it's not about their business process, maybe it's not what they do wrong, but maybe it is something that is discovered from outside. And the really interesting thing that we discovered was that we started researching all kinds of different frauds that are committed against them. So we found out that those products that were stolen from them, basically taken unpaid, had a lot of market from regular people who wanted to buy them. So, and we started thinking that how will they get it out? How will they get the knowledge how to get it out? We understood that these are really smart people, they are doing it in an organized way. And what we discovered different forums where people they are given advice. If you want to do this kind of scam, do it like this and like this and like this. And we started thinking about who are those people or organizations who give them this kind of advice. And we understood some of them are those who don't want to commit this fraud themselves, but they just need the product. So what to do? Let's help them. Let's help them out. Let's tell them how to do it. Let's organize them. Let's educate them. Let's explain them. And then we started thinking about how they know it, how they know that there is this kind of loophole that even this big enterprise doesn't understand. And we understood that if in real life, their life will go on every day, and in business life, we are always told that if you need to know something, go and ask. Don't just think that they think that we think that they think. Don't play these kind of mind games. But actually those business criminals, those cyber criminals, were playing the exact mind games. What they think about we think and what they actually think. How did they play it? Some of them were from the same enterprise. Some of them were from the same industry. They know exactly how this business works. They knew exactly how and with whom they are working together. They know exactly how the process is developed. And they understand that, oh, they have a risk mitigation plan. What this risk mitigation plan says, let's not be financially responsible ourselves. Let's give this responsibility to somebody else. Let's give this responsibility to bank. Let's give this responsibility to insurances. Let's lose as little money as possible. And that was the cyber criminals' loophole. What they did, they understood that basically business is going to lose a lot of money. They actually don't lose. So it's not a problem for the business. And this went on and on and on for a long time. So they actually understood what is the business doing, how is the process going on. And from there, when we started, we actually did some minor changes on the business software so that they got this intelligent, they changed their procedures. And the thing that we saw was that week after, the forums were giving already a new advice. Okay, they changed the business. Now you can do it this and this and this day. So this went on and on. If they need help, if they need education, if they need how to do things, then there are lots for them. There is the whole subculture that explains. They can use GitHub if they don't want to do something else. They don't care about licenses. If it's not sometimes if it's not from the same structure. They have lots of helping hands who are working on them. They have wiki models, their own. They have lots of help even from your web page without actually going in. You put lots of the information in your web page. You're saying what kind of standards are you using, how you're auditing yourself. So they know exactly how you work. And they're finding this kind of loophole that you're not even considering. They're thinking about how to do things in a way that it's not black, absolutely not black. Maybe it should gray, but not very gray. It's like lightly gray, slightly gray. Something that I do something that is legal, but not very legal. I go and slick a bit to find what I want. That's how they think. And that's what they do to get in. And that's how they get this big money. They start thinking about how you actually think. What we should do today. We have to understand how they think. It's not just about us anymore. It's about how they do things and how they think. If you don't see them, if you don't know who they are, if you don't know how they act, how they think, it is really hard to fight them. If you go on with the same models you're using at the moment to fight them, then you will be on the same loop, and you go on, and you don't understand how do they take this revenue out, how do they take money out, what actually creates them money. You have to understand what kind of mindset there is. There is a lot of vanity. They believe in themselves. They are thinking like they're some sort of gods. And if you think what they do and how they do it, can you argue? It's not that. Of course they're powerful. Of course they know what they do. They have lots of good education. They work really hard to understand what others do. They spend lots and lots of time reading, going to different conferences, going to talk to legal businesses to understand. Some of them even work in legal businesses. Some of those, of course, not those who are from those startups. They don't have time anymore to work in legal businesses because they have to be dedicated. But some of those who just are on those small and medium enterprises, what they do, they're finding themselves, for example, some kind of low-demanding IT job where they have time in the evenings and in nighttime, and they start up with small. They start up doing some kind of help desk service for criminals because they need money to support themselves, to go through the education. They do different things to do it. And one day when they have the skill set, when they have the right mindset, when they have the confidence, when the timing is right, when team has come together, the whole plan is going to come together. Thank you.
You have questions? Anyone? Okay. Then I would like to ask a question. What do you think for last 10, 15 years, this underground community changed or didn't change? And is it moving forward to some point or not?
I think within last 15 years, this underground community has changed a lot. There is a story I always like to tell. It is about this traditional crime business, traditional crime like mafia. When they're doing their business, they had good standards, they had good teams, they had good market, and so on and so on and so on. And they had this kind of mindset that we actually don't want to do things that harm people, like drug trafficking and so on and so on. So there was an opening for drug trafficking, and these kind of things happened. And when they are thinking about the cybercrime now, then what we can see within the last 15 years, regular businesses have changed. The people in IT there have changed. The business mind has changed. So many different opportunities have raised, and there are so many openings that they can use. For example, first of all, maybe they're not thinking that cybercrime is something where you actually harm people. There was this stereotype, even when I first heard about cybercrime, I had this stereotype from media in my mind that this is something that is clean. This is something where people are not hurt. Children are not hurt. It's not about drug trafficking. It's not about illegal gun market. It's about hacking, doing something for just, this IT stuff. And what has changed is that they're understanding that there are like interconnections between different things in our lives, in businesses, what they do. You can't go anywhere without seeing what kind of fraudsters are there, what kind of cybercrime is happening. You can do common business, traditional business without the cyber issues, but it's so much easier to include some kind of cyber issues on your regular business in crime area. For example, if you are trafficking guns, then what you can do? You can do it in a traditional way, or you can use some kind of platform. If you're trafficking drugs. What you can do? You can offer some kind of service for everyday users so that they can get the drugs from the web platform. They can check who is providing it, how good the quality is. They can even chat with the community to ask, oh, you were using it, how was it? Was it good? How was it delivered? Was it safe? Did you get caught by buying it? Was it actually a good product or not? They have the full service. Even those who are starting with this kind of things, then they are maybe afraid. They are not willing to buy a lot. They are willing to buy a really small amount. And what are cybercriminals doing? They are understanding it. It is a market. What are we going to do? We are going to give them full service. We are going to tell them how it is. We are going to explain them things. Very interesting thing actually is that, for example, when I was speaking about the media attention and market and so on, if you go up there and talk about some things that are not true, or you talk about things that are already outdated, for example, you're giving a review for some kind of product and you're giving it to the last version, they have changed their attack vectors, then what the cybercriminals do, they contact you. They explain you how their product is actually working. They are asking you not to make a bad publicity. It's not working that way. It's working already on the other way. Please say it correctly. So if you're researching cybercrime, you have to understand they are helping you to research it. If you're actually explaining people what those products do, they are helping you to explain it. So it has changed a lot. The mindsets have changed a lot. Thank you for the question.
And what do you think our security guidelines, for example, GDPR, is helping this underground market, for example, for ransomwares to evaluate how much worse is the data that is created or not? It's just an example.
This GDPR, for example, have changed the new market. Before that, organizations didn't have this need to report. There were some sectors, for example, financial sector, that has declarations for it, but not all of them. And now the market is there. You have to be actually scared about it. It's a lot about scaring people. It's the same with these sextortion emails. You have to be scared what's going to happen. And you're not just scared about your customers going away, but you're scared about your business failing if you don't do as they say. So the GDPR is really helpful to them. I'm sure they will send a note about it for the Commission.